Hi everyone, welcome to Old Git Boxing. Today we're actually going to cover wraps and how we put them on and the benefits of actually having them. So let's get straight into it. I'm in various lengths, 1.8 meters to 3 meters as standard. This one in particular is 3 meters, comes from Decathlon, and you'll find them in most sports stores. And how we start the wrap, the majority of them will have this loop at the beginning, and you'll have one side that shows you it is the outside at the beginning and also at the end, but not in between in general. So if we've got the outside facing away, we're going to start with putting this, the thumb through this loop. Okay, and just let that hang. Now, there's a number of reasons for wearing a wrap. Supporting the wrist for one, and also protecting the knuckles. And there's various ways of actually putting on a wrap. If you look on the internet, there's various people actually saying, okay, this is the best way to do it, this is the best. I'm just showing you the best way. I've used most of the variants that are available. And this is the one I find most comfortable, but also the most protective, especially across my knuckles. So it's my personal preference. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying this works for me. And with that, because of this type of way I wrap, I need this 3 meter length because there's quite a lot of wrapping to go with it. But once you get into it, it may seem complicated to start off with, but once you get into it, you'll just do it with your eyes closed. It's not a problem. So, okay, we're starting with the thumb through the loop and it hang. And then from there, we're just going to tuck underneath. So underneath here, and then we're going to go over the wrist. Okay, just below the hand section, and then we're going to go again. We're going to give this a little bit of tension, so we're just pulling on it just to make sure it's nice and snug and tight. We don't want to reduce blood circulation. It's not too tight, but enough that we feel as if it's supporting that wrist. And then we're going to do that again. And again, doubling up on it, adding to that support. And as we come over the second time, then here we're going to actually come across at an angle. You can see that coming down in between the fourth finger and the thumb, and then we're going to bring it across underneath, and this time it comes across the knuckles. Now with this one, what we want are our knuckles to be half and half of the width of that wrap, so just straight through the center. Applying tension again, enough to make it snug, enough to not restrict your fingers from moving like that from side to side, but enough to actually feel as if you're, let's say, keeping them nice and your fingers kind of nice and bound together. And then we're going to do that again, straight over the top, exactly the same line, like that. And that's just doubling up on that, just making it a longer, more of a stronger support. Underneath, and then over the top, but this time when we go over the top, we're going another V in the opposite direction, so we're coming across to the wrist. You see that? Coming across to the wrist there. Underneath, as we come over the top this time, we're just going to bring that down between the first finger and the second finger, yeah, like that, on the angle, and then bring it back across the wrist from outside of that first finger. See that there? Okay. Under on the wrist, over, then we're going to go through the second and third finger, back up, second and first, up to the wrist, and you guessed it, we're going to do that again, but between the third and the fourth, over the top, underneath and back up through the third and the second, underneath, over, in between the fourth finger and the thumb, up over between the fourth finger and the third finger, around the wrist. So this time as we come over, we're going all the way to the outside, all the way over here, between the thumb and the fourth finger, and around, back over, and the final one is we're going between the thumb and the fourth finger, not all the way over but straight in, and then we're going to reverse it so the wrap is going the opposite way, and then we're just going to tidy it off and keep it nice and tensioned comfortably across the wrist, and then the Velcro just tidies everything up. Okay, the benefit of doing it this way, remember we were actually bringing that line across the knuckles. With bringing it in between the fingers in this direction, it locks it in, it keeps it in place. You can see it protruding down, which means your knuckles are going to be protected. The other ways I've seen it is that what tends to happen inside the glove is that what can happen if it's not taped as well, and we're not going to get into the taping, we don't need to do that, we're not going into a boxing ring, is that disappears or moves backwards and your knuckles get exposed, and then sometimes you can hurt your knuckles or it chafes inside the glove. But this time, or in this way, it always stays in place, so I always feel protected. So that's the only reason I do it this way. It works for me, it may not work for you, but hopefully you'll find a way of it becomes, or it's comfortable for you and it's easy to actually do each time. So okay, now we need to go and do the other hand. So once we've done that, we're ready to move on to the next section. That next section is the gloves and putting those on. Speak to you soon.